Playing games with your friends is fun. Playing Minecraft with your friends is really good fun, and playing games in Minecraft with your friends is just about as good as it gets. Now I just have to find myself some friends. In front of me we have got my new minigame, designed to be played by 2 players, one person who sets the combination and does all of the timer, and the other person who has to try and frantically solve the combination before the timer runs out and the TNT explodes. Now as you can see, this thing is, well, it's really quite small. I mean, it fits within this 5x5 area, and the best news is that there's no redstone underneath the ground. Everything fits within this nice looking TNT block. So let's do a quick demonstration. As I mentioned earlier on, I don't have any friends, so I've set my own combination and I'm going to activate my own timer. Now I have to say I've totally forgotten the combination that I set, so I'm going to be messing around with these levers as clueless as someone who's playing it 2-player style. Now with this setup right here, we have 64 possible combinations for the levers to be set in, and you're going to know when you've disarmed the bomb if the redstone lamp turns out. But of course, if you run out of time, you're definitely going to know about that because you will hear some TNT being ignited. Now I think... bad luck. Not so good. Unfortunately, I ran out of time. I thought that was the correct combination, but clearly I was wrong. I've taken a peek around the back, and now I know exactly what levers to flick down just so I can demonstrate how I do this thing. So to reset it, I just have to take the items out of this chest. I have to make sure that the system is switched off, so these items just stay inside that hopper. And then to activate it, all I have to do is make sure that all of these levers are in the off position, flick this, and now it's good to go. Now the correct combination is 1, 2, 3, and then this one right here. No, these 2 right here. I mean, seriously, when I say that I can't remember these combinations, I'm being deadly serious. So as you can see, the redstone lamp is now switched off, and that means the items inside this hopper right here are no longer moving through, which means that you've saved yourself. The TNT up at the top isn't going to be exploding. Now that I've stripped away all of the decoration, you can see this thing is ridiculously simple to build. I mean, we really don't have too much going on, so let's crack on with that tutorial. So the first thing that we're going to do is actually create the combination lock. So what I'm going to do is actually place in the blocks like this. I'm going to be doing exactly the same design as I did at the start with the big TNT block, but we're going to place in 6 levers going across just like that. The next thing that we're going to do is place a redstone line running across like this, and then we're going to grab ourselves some actual blocks and place another redstone line going across the back like this. And this is where our combination lock is going to be going. Now I'm going to be discussing how to set your combinations and things like that later on in the tutorial. But the next thing that we've got to do is place a block up like this, and we're going to run the redstone going up like that. And we're actually going to be taking out this piece of redstone and replacing it with a block just like that one, because we're going to need to run the signal up like this and into our redstone lamp, which is going to go above this block right here. So we're going to have the hardened clay and then the concrete in the center, and this redstone line is simply just going to run up like this with redstone dust going across the top like that, and that's going to be powering the redstone lamp when this thing is activated. Next, we're going to be turning this slab right here into a full block, and then we're going to be placing a redstone torch on the side of it, because this is going to be the thing that locks our hopper. So we're going to place in a chest just like that, and then a hopper running across, and we're going to fill this in with items, and that's where our timer is going to be coming from. We're going to be taking output from this hopper right here, we're going to be running that out into a comparator, and that's going to be going into a sticky piston with a cauldron on top. Now I am going to warn you, I'm going to be going back and forth between these designs quite a lot, because there's quite a few items that I need to pick up between them. We're going to have a slab running across like this, and then a comparator facing across once again, and then a block up like this with a redstone torch off to one side just like that, and then we're going to have a dispenser with TNT on the inside right about here. But before we do that, I would suggest placing in a slab right there, and also a slab right here, and then a dispenser and some water. Now the reason why I would suggest doing those things first is because, as you can see, this dispenser is powered, and if you give it any form of update, it would have dispensed out its TNT. So it's always best to place in the water first so it doesn't completely destroy your build, which would be very frustrating. So now it is time to set our combinations. The first thing you want to do is place a line of slabs once again just behind these levers right here. So that is going to allow you to place in redstone lines and things like that whenever you want to change the combination. So the first thing that you've got to do is you've got to work out what you want your combination to be. And the goal is for this redstone line to be switched off. So if you want the lever to be flicked down, say you wanted this to be your combination, just this, only this lever down, then what you do is place in a redstone torch, and that would turn off because this lever is flicked down here, and then you'd want redstone going across like this and all the way across the bottom right here, because all of these are flicked off and all of these are flicked off, which means this redstone isn't being powered, but then this redstone torch is being powered by this lever, which means that this redstone torch is turned off. If you get any of these things wrong, for example this one right here, then that will power our entire redstone line, which means that this redstone lamp is powered, which means that your bomb hasn't been deactivated and this timer is still going to be ticking through. But if you get the combination right, then your redstone should turn off, the redstone lamp should turn off, this redstone torch should turn on, which will stop any items traveling across into this chest, which means that this comparator will never become depowered, which means that your TNT will never be dispensed. I hope that makes sense. So I'm quickly going to do a very easy to understand combination. So we're going to place in, I don't know, that lever there can be flicked down, this lever and this lever. So what I'm going to do is place a redstone torch behind this lever, a redstone torch behind this lever, and a redstone torch behind this lever. So right now we've got the combination correct, but then we flick them all back to their correct positions, and that means the redstone line is now being powered. But as soon as we get the combination right, then we deactivate the system and we've worked out the correct combination. Yeah, I think hopefully that's got everything straight for you guys. Now I'd suggest doing all of the decoration. This is quite an easy step. All we have to do is make this thing look kind of like a TNT block. So you need to make sure that you're alternating between red concrete and red hardened clay, and it ends up looking pretty good. I personally really like the way that it looks. But anyway, once this is done, we've still got one tiny thing left to do, which is your timer circuit. First thing that you have to do is place in a lever right here and flick it on. That's going to stop any items inside this hopper from moving into the chest, which essentially activates the game. So if you flick this off, that's going to activate the game because the items are going to be moving across and you're going to have a working timer. The next thing that you've got to do is choose how long you want this game to run for. So in my example, I used 64 items, and you saw that was a very short time span to try and work out 64 possible combinations. So maybe you might want to do 2 stacks or 3 stacks or maybe even 5 stacks. The fewer number of items you put in, the shorter the length of time. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But anyway, that is the full system, all done and dusted. This thing is now functional and ready to play with all of your friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please sure to hit that like button. And if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, and as per usual, check out the latest film on the Filming channel.